Ben, we won't waste any more time and get you to jump right in there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Turn this on. Good morning. So the first thing we're going to go over are clearance rates for this period, and we'll talk about the year to date as well. Just to let everyone know what clearance rates are. Clearance rates are, we compare our cases solved to cases that are reported. So when you hear me say it's cleared, it's been cleared. For this period here, my clearance rate is 88%, and for year to date it'd be 90%. So with this here, for persons crimes that I'm speaking of, we've had 26 person crimes reported, 23 of them have been solved or cleared. For property crimes, our percentage rate, not including frauds, is going to be 60% for this period and 56 overall year to date. We'll talk about frauds here in a minute. Those are more complicated cases that we're working. Total clearance rate, this period is 77%, and year to date it'll be 79%. It's very good compared to national average. The national average for violent crimes or persons crimes is 41%, and property crimes are 17%. So we're doing very well in the city of DeBerry. And that's something that we tout, and we'll continue to press on with that.
Very good.
Moving into crime. Let me back up. We'll talk about some traffic stats. So we've had issues with traffic in DeBerry. We've utilized resources and moved resources around to address some target areas. For this period, we have made 5,093 total traffic stops in District 6. For the city of DeBerry, of that 5,000, we've had 2,047 traffic stops. With those traffic stops, we've had over 2,400 citations issued and 2,200 warnings issued. We have a total of 45 steps that we've put in place year to date. And a step is enforcement, strategic enforcement, where we send patrol and traffic units to an area, and we target them for speeders, stop sign runners, and the like. That's all I have for traffic. So we move into crime. The first thing up is going to be an aggravated assault. This is going to be Lazio, in the area of Lazio and Kalen. This was interesting. We had two victims and a witness at the intersection here, standing near a car talking. According to the victim, the suspect walked up with two other individuals and assaulted them by hitting them with a gun alongside his head, caused him and his girlfriend to strip, sent them in their vehicle, and sent them on their way. This was TOT to CID.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
All right. Yeah, so we responded in real time to this when it happened, and we went out there and were able to obtain an arrest warrant really quick and get the vehicle entered in the LPRs, which is license plate readers. He was later taken into custody. He fully admitted to everything in an interview at the jail, and then right now we're just working on adding some additional charges for the lewd and lascivious behavior on the juveniles. So that case is closed by arrest.
So when I'm gonna refer to CBA for a lot of these cases, and CBA it is cleared by arrest. For domestic violence related cases, we had a total of 17. Out of those 17 of them were cleared. I'll move on to our burglary. So we had two burglaries in the area of 135 Integral Reserve. These burglaries did not occur the same day, but they occurred in the same resident, in the same area. These were burglaries to a garage. So we had an individual burglarize two unlocked garages. They stole equipment, power tools, keys, batteries to the tune of $1,100. This was TOT to CID.
Yeah, so we're working on this right now. There's an extended time lapse, obviously. So we've been checking Facebook Marketplace and the pawn shops for the items. And there's also another theft that we think is related, where a homeless individual stole a weed eater and a gas can while someone was working on their well. We ended up recovering the gas can by the Sun Rail Station, and we've submitted that for processing. We believe that some transients may be coming in from the land by the train and walking around, maybe committing these crimes. So it's still a very active investigation. We're following up on all leads. We have cell phone data records, tower dumps, and all the usual search warrants that we provide for these kind of cases out that we're waiting.
The next case we have is 51 Spring Vista Drive. This was a burglary to a storage unit, basically. You had two victims renting a storage unit. We have on video the suspect who was at the storage unit with the victim. After both left the area, the suspect returned and removed some items from the victim's storage unit. This was TOT to CID.
Yeah, the suspect in this case is trying to say that he had permission to go in the unit and take out the items. That was very unfounded by the owner. He currently has an active arrest warrant for this case, and it will be cleared by arrest.
Moving on to a burglary, 308 Pitch Pine Drive. This was a kick-in style burglary in a sense of you had juveniles pulling pranks, kind of like Ding Dong Ditch. You had two suspects walk up to the door, one masked, kicked the door a couple of times until the door popped open, and then they took off running. This was captured on video. We were able to identify the individuals and made an arrest. Good job to Deputy James. They were being relentless and happened to walk up on one of them as they tried to sneak out the back of their residence.
You're lucky they're not dead.
They are.
It's a TikTok challenge is what it was.
Somebody kicking my door, it might be another issue. So yeah, like you said,
You want
Sheriff.
to talk about what we talked about yesterday, Carla? We're seeing an influx of Seminole County when it comes to crime and
Good morning. We're seeing an influx of families moving into the DeBerry area from Seminole County, and they have multiple children, anywhere from 5 to 7 kids, and we're starting to see some crime in the area. The incident that Captain Israel spoke about, but the first incident where the kids had their clothes stripped off of them, one of those youth was from Seminole County. So we are definitely seeing an influx there.
and they're homeowners.
Yes.
Are you seeing them move to a specific area? Like, are they relocating to Rivington?
Yes.
These incidents were actually in the Rivabella, Lazio
The 8
area.
and 9, the unit on the side closest to Lake Conomac.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In this particular instance, that victim was from Seminole, but as we continue on through the crime notes, I'll indicate that the issues that we've had down in that area stem around a few. The few they're bringing a lot of issues to the area. Moving on to DV robbery. This was 128 Florence Boulevard. This was domestic related. This is one of those cases that was cleared by arrest. Essentially, you had a victim and the defendant arguing over an incident where the defendant grabbed the keys and removed them from the victim's pocket and took the phone. That's what made it a robbery. This was cleared by arrest. We have a motor vehicle theft at 1100 North Thorpe, Orange City. This was the owner of the vehicle left town for a few weeks, and when he returned, after giving permission to the defendant to use the vehicle, he attempted to retrieve his vehicle, and the defendant just cut all communications with him. He eventually reported his vehicle stolen, and we recovered the vehicle in the city of DeLand, cleared by arrest. We have a robbery here at 58 Charles R. Bill. This was at Dollar General. So deputies was in the area on patrol and heard this live 911 come out, and it came out as if it was a carjacking / kidnapping. What ultimately happened was you had a male and a female with a child involved or in common in the parking lot having an argument. During the argument, the male defendant decided to remove the female and her child from her car, and he took the car. Patrol arrived on scene, and during the course of investigation, we established who the defendant was. We canvassed the area with bolos, and the defendant ended up riding back by the store. When the defendant rode back by the store, Deputy Watlington did a great job with taking him down and taking him into custody. This was cleared by arrest.
Captain, can you talk about Live 911? It's
Well,
pretty
I'm
amazing.
going to let Carolyn get into that.
Okay.
Because she is here.
Yes, she is.
We're going to let her talk about what's going on at Communication Center and all the technology that's going on out there.
Cool.
We'll save you, Ben, on that one.
She's the subject matter expert. Theft, 2200 or 220 North Charles R. Bills, Ace Hardware store. You had an individual in there shoplifting. In the process, we were contacted. Deputies came to the store and called him in the act and arrested him, cleared by arrest. 338 Columba Road. This was a theft to a motor vehicle. This was at the Bill Keller ballpark. The victim was out there playing pickleball one morning for about 2 hours. She left her car unlocked. When she returned, 2 wallets were stolen and some credit cards. Part of the event was captured on video. This was TOT to CID.
Yeah, so first off, with this case, I'd like to thank the city for their help with this because your excellent video cameras you have in the park and you guys getting with us to get us a video in a timely manner, we're able to quickly identify the suspect and suspect vehicle. After that, they subsequently fled back to Broward County, surprisingly. Yeah, and that is where we recovered the vehicle. Last Friday, myself went down to Broward and completed a search warrant on the vehicle with our crime scene, and we're waiting for the results of the latent prints and DNA from inside that vehicle. We got with their CST team, who's familiar with the registered owner of the vehicle, who's also going to be our suspect, and we're actively trying to get him identified by law enforcement down there and awaiting legal process also to put him at the scene. And an arrest is pretty much imminent in this case.
Do you have any idea how an individual from Broward ended up just skulking around?
It doesn't make sense.
There has to be some local connector, I would think.
We've looked and looked, and I mean, like I said, I think a lot of these guys, after talking to the crime suppression team down there, if they go out of county down there, they never get caught. So with us having the LPR systems here in DeBary and Deltona, we are able to put these vehicles going back. So they think they come up here and they're all in the clear, but little do they know their license plate's been captured, and we go down there, and I mean, you should see the place. We tried to interview the suspect. He lives in a place called Waterhill, if you're familiar.
Not.
It's pretty much a giant ghetto, but the entire city. It is not very pretty.
Hold back.
It was, I had a gun and I was nervous walking through that place, so.
Well, it's not mentioned in the notes. What, do you, off the top of your head, you know his criminal history?
Yes, sir, I do. He is 31 and 6 for felonies, which means he has 31 charges and 6 convictions, and he's 10 and 5 in misdemeanors. So he's an outstanding citizen, man.
It's just, surprising to me that somebody from that far away would cruise through DeBary on Columbo, which isn't a main drag, and find a park to try to lift stuff out of a parked vehicle. It's an odd pattern.
Yeah, and he tried multiple cars, so he must have had this planned out, like made a day out of it, a little field trip. But he only got one.
You do have a crew that comes out. We have them come from all over the place. That they drive up here because you said you don't think you're going to get caught, and they ride around and they do what they need, and they get back in their car and they leave. I don't know how many times we end up in South Florida because we had a tag number from the tag reader or a video, and sometimes they lift the stuff and give it to a counterpart to go charge, so the credit card's being rung up while they're headed in another direction. So.
Yeah, like I said, after talking to law enforcement down there, they get away with it very easily going county to county down there, so they think they're in the clear.
It could be he has a relative here, or it could be that he was just up with other people shopping. We don't know how many other people were involved.
No, it was just one person in the car. It was just him.
Right, for that, we don't know if there were
Oh,
others
yeah.
in the area.
Yeah. So we'll get him.
So that concludes crime for this period. But what I do want to do is a quick recap on violent crime here in DeBary and some of the results. We talked about the south end of DeBary activity being picked up there, and we've shifted resources down there to address the traffic down there as well as migrants and transients that's coming in. And we also have an operation coming up here in the end of the month. I won't say what date, but we'll be targeting that again. So you'll see a lot of lights out. But to recap the violent history, the violent criminal crimes for this period and previous periods, one in particular was the 290 Palmetto Springs. That was the shooting into occupied dwelling. That particular residence, CID still working that. I'll let them talk a little bit more about that case there.
Yeah, so this is still a very active case. The vehicle that was used in the shooting, we believe it was maybe a murder for hire or a threat to hire. We think that someone hired this individual from Miramar, which is in South Florida again, to come here and shoot up this house because they believed that the father of the children still lived there, but he had separated from his wife from a prior DV incident, and they shot up the house because he was on trial for murder. So anyways, using the license plate readers again and technology that we have, we're able to locate the vehicle, and it's the only vehicle that matched the description that came into the county and out of the county and right back. We tracked it all the way back down to Miramar, down the turnpike and everything else. Ended up recovering the vehicle, and again, we're going to South Florida for another search warrant. Seems to be a trend. But so we recovered the vehicle, we did a search warrant, and we got multiple suspects that had used the vehicle and the owner of the vehicle. Come to find out, this was a rental vehicle. So we have multiple suspects to follow up on every little thing. So we're trying to exclude and include all suspects. Multiple cell phone data search warrants have been submitted. We've had 2 that were negative. We recovered a phone in the vehicle, which a search warrant was completed on. And unfortunately, there's no evidence on their subscriber information. Right now, we are just going through all the bank accounts of anyone we identified in this vehicle to see if there's any large transfer of funds coming in or out of their account to try to link them to this crime. And also, when we did the search warrant, we located several debit and credit cards that did not belong to our suspects. And so the people that we have identified, it's also been determined they're involved in fraud. Imagine that. So pretty much, we're just following up on any and all leads. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs through the woods, and we're not giving up until we absolutely exhausted everything or we put someone in jail, because we have stuff to keep following up on. It just takes time.
So this is what I was alluding to earlier, as far as a small number of people causing a lot of problems down there. That address is associated with the Kick-In TikTok event. It's either a resident or a guest. Also, that group is associated or affiliated in some form or fashion to the Lazio court or circle incidents where we had the pistol whipping. There's another incident that happened that they did not want to report where there was some mace involved. So there's a small group down there that's very active, and our mission is to go down there and eradicate that one way or the other. Moving on to another violent crime. This was a Sackett Road and Lake Drive. This was a golf cart incident where a resident was riding through, ran a stop sign. The golf cart chased the resident down in her vehicle. They had an exchange of words. Ultimately, the suspect punched the victim in the face, took her phone, and threw it. We worked that as much as we could. We exhausted every lead. It's my belief that the individual involved, the suspect, was here visiting. It was during, I believe, Bike Week. So I believe they were here visiting, but I'll let CID talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, between doing golf cart operations and checking every registered golf cart in there and everything else, we could not identify a suspect. We did every single legal process you could think of, and there was just nothing to identify this guy. It was a random crime. It was a road rage incident. Both parties were involved. Kind of mutual. They were both arguing with each other, but unfortunately, we just could not identify this suspect. We even recovered his sunglasses, which he had dropped. We recovered DNA from these sunglasses, which we submitted to FDLE, and we got no hit on that. So the guy doesn't have a criminal history. Maybe one day down the road he might mess up again, and then we can match the DNA up or something. But as of now, we just don't have anything.
One initiative we pushed after that incident was a golf cart operation where we had deputies going out and targeting golf carts, making sure that they're in compliance with the permit and rules for DeBerry, and it was very successful. I'm not going to say to my surprise because the DeBerry residents are squared away. We really didn't have many violators. You have anything, Madam Mayor?
On the golf carts, I think we need to make this a regular part of our activities. I see on West High Banks golf carts, not low-speed vehicles, on the road, and I see them coming out of Traders Cove, to a certain degree, Rivers Bluff and St. John's Woods, onto that corridor. I think that Traders Cove residents think we can ride our golf carts around our community because it's private, which is true. And then they've always gone over to Swamp House on their golf carts. So they tend to do what is their pattern. Most of those are not registered that I can see. They don't have stickers. And the ones that are going up and down West High Banks include some men who have golf equipment with them and are going over to the country club. So there is an area there where there's, by my observation, because that's part of my daily travel pattern, there's pretty routine violations of, they'll get there and they'll go like, it'd be quicker for me to get on the road, and so they go that way. And then I think there is a habitual pattern, like we always went from our little subdivision over to Swamp House. You know, they don't see the need to get a permit, which would tell them what the rules are, and they go back and forth on a regular basis. So that little area, I would say, if we could do some focus on it at some point, mainly educational. I'm not sure that there are people there that are just like, I'm never getting a permit, I'm always going to try to break the rules. I think that it's a pattern of behavior, and they don't see the need. So
why don't we get with your communications team?
Yeah.
And work on a mailer or something
Yeah.
we'll put out there, and then give him a grace period that, hey, effective
Yeah,
September 15th,
Is that okay?
we're going to start ticketing if you want.
Right.
That way you get an educational component out
Right.
there. And
I think our communications team has reached out to the HOAs, which is a good way to get the residents before, but I do see it pretty routinely now, and so I'd just like to break the pattern. Like I say, I don't,
if you want to reach out to the HOA again, I'll have, Cameron hasn't got to speak today, but Cameron would love to go down to the HOA and hand out the do's and don'ts,
Yeah.
and let them know that starting September, whatever date we pick,
Okay.
you're going to start issuing citations.
the city manager says he'll work with you on that.
Okay, perfect. And Katie, you want to go with him?
Directive, so I had to look to see if he was willing to take on the task.
Katie, do you want to go with the gentleman? We could add a pretty face in there as well. So one of the, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
The last one is the Orange City case.
Well, I was going to turn to Orange City next.
It was an Orange City case at La Familia where individual came in and cased the joint, essentially. Came back and smashed jury case, took a bunch of jewelry and ran out. This was TOT to CID. Actually, he was arrested, but it was TOT to CID.
Yeah, detectives responded in real time again. We were able to quickly identify the subject using video surveillance and the license plate readers again and his vehicle. We got his vehicle stopped out of county again. It's all right, I'll wait for you, Tucker. Oh, wait, no.
Actually breaking in the car?
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to be responding to a car break.
Hope not.
This is gonna be real time too.
It's Cameron's? Yeah, there you go. See, he got all excited. He was going to get to talk. He set his car alarm off.
That pressure on him,
So go ahead.
Anyways, so he came to the pawn shop earlier, as the captain said, and he cased out the joint. He left. We got the vehicle on video leaving, got him coming back. The manager of La Familia was actually an ex-FHP trooper, so he was able to immediately pick him out of a lineup because he's very observative. We got an arrest warrant for him, and the rest is history. Yep.
Julian, you guys have been busy, man. Fraud, Romanians, Californians.
Yeah. We've had a busy schedule the last 2-3 months. We had a case, as you mentioned, the two suspects from California. That was a District 6 case, as a matter of fact, and the victim's accountant. The email system was compromised, and the scammer was able to see communication between the victim and the accountant. The victim was in the process of paying a large amount of money towards her taxes. And I don't know what the business is, but she owed the IRS a lot of money. And she was directed by the scammer. They spoofed that email to make it seem like it was from the accountant. And the victim wired almost $500,000 to this individual in California. And then from there, the money moved to different people. There was another female involved, and they bounced from one bank account to another, and then they bought crypto with it, and they sent it out. And as soon as we got the case, we almost immediately sent out seizure warrants, and we're able to freeze between the two of them almost $1 million. Eventually, that money will be used to reimburse the victim, and there's another victim out of D.C. as well that send a large amount of money to these individuals.
These two and whoever they're working with since December, $19 million.
Wow.
So, and who knows what else they're involved in. I mean, they're still working on that. And then the
Yeah,
remaining
there's-
is,
They're money launderers, big time money launderers. But of course, when they got arrested, they're blaming each other as the mastermind. Which it's not surprising.
basically, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, I know these people for 30 years. I just did them a favor to the tune of $19 million.
We got some other trends going on. We got there's a huge trend right now of EBT card that have been fraudulently obtained, and it originates from Colorado. They're stealing EBT card numbers and they're putting them on other cards, and they're using them down here in Florida as it's a huge issue. We had 3 cases within a week, and all 3 of them we got warrants on 2 individuals, and then we arrested 3 of them. So every case that came, every car that was used in Volusia County, we arrested the individuals, and they're all from Romania, all illegal females. None of them is willing to talk. They claim that they don't know anything. They found these cards on the street and they're using them. But we recovered a lot of baby formula. That's what they're buying with it, and then they sell it in somewhere. We believe it's in Brevard County. There's a warehouse that they sell them there. FTLE's taking lead on that one. But we recovered a large quantity of baby formula and energy drinks. The sheriff is donating them to local shelters or organizations. Director Kwon can talk about that. We also have another trend that's continuing. It's the impersonation of law enforcement officer. They call individuals and they pretend to be lieutenant and captain with the sheriff's office, and they have a warrant for their arrest, and then lo and behold, they get directed to put Bitcoin and pay their warrant with Bitcoin, which, again, they fall for it. So we made several arrests. These individuals that are making the calls are currently in prison in Georgia, and they're getting their phones snuck in there, either by correction officers or, in one case, we actually have a video of a cell phone being dropped by drone within the prison. And it's, for the life of me, I can't believe that it's continuing. Georgia prisons, they know that they have an issue, but nothing's happening to these individuals. They typically in prison for long periods of time, 20, 30 years, kidnapping, robberies. So they typically have nothing to lose. What we're going after is these individuals that are getting the money, and then they're splitting the profits. We have 5 or 6 that we either have warrants or they've been arrested. We got one that's being extradited on Wednesday. The sheriff is going to welcome her. So yeah, we've been pretty busy.
So that same scam continues with the law enforcement. But a lot of it, like they says, nationwide coming out of, in particular, one prison up there in Georgia. And I broadcast it and put it out there, and nobody ever says, hey, we're going to work on that. We're going to stop them from getting iPads and cell phones in jail and doing the scam. Paul, want to touch on narcotics?
Absolutely. Morning, Mayor. Paul Camber, I'm over Special Investigations now, which encompasses domestic security, narcotics, and the crime center. The overdose deaths for 2025 have significantly decreased by about 40%. This is countywide. We're about 78 for the year compared to 129 last year. The city of DeBary has experienced 2 unfortunate deaths, with 3 in 2024, with non-fatal overdoses, 9 in 2025 and 23 in 2024. My opinion, the reason for the decline is our enforcement efforts and also our community partnerships. Our enforcement efforts is VBI, Volusia Bureau of Investigations. They focus on the source of supply, the larger scale organizations that are bringing stuff into the area. Then our task forces, they focus on the day-to-day quality of life crimes, the narcotics complaints that come in daily, and then the OD task force that we have narcotics detectives and ISS detectives within, and they focus on persons supplying narcotics to people who die, which that unit's been very successful. The community partnerships, one of the most prevalent is with the Volusia Recovery Alliance. They focus on education, prevention, and treatment. So that's my opinion why it's declined. Overall, narcotics cases for the southwest area of Volusia has been about 230 grams of cocaine seized, 52 grams of fentanyl, 92 grams of meth, total street value of about $150,000, all resulting in about 45 arrests. City of DeBerry has currently 3 overdose deaths that are being worked. 1 non-fatal was worked and is concluded. Captain King just advised me that a 2024 OD case just concluded with the defendant pleading to about 11 years in prison.
Very good, Paul. Carla, juveniles? Since I'm sending you emails about juveniles.
Good morning. With school starting back, we're just focusing on making sure the kids are safe and teaching them, about vaping and some of the new drugs that are becoming illegal. So hopefully we'll have a good school year. But I don't know, because summer was quiet.
All right, speaking of schools, school security, you got it.
It's on. I'm Captain Smith, the commander of the Youth Services Section and also the Director of Safety and Security for Volusia County Schools. So this school year, we're rolling out metal detectors to all of our high schools. We currently have one at Pine Ridge High School, and we're doing them in 2-week phases. We'll also be rolling out to Atlantic, and then as it goes on, we'll be taking on more high schools. We just didn't want to try to do it all at once and then mess it up. So we also have the sheriff created a new juvenile behavioral threat unit. So last year we had approximately 900 4-5 Florida tips, made over 30 arrests for threats of violence to our schools. So this year we have a 3-man behavioral threat team that also has a sergeant. And any threats that come into our schools, they run with those cases, work with all the municipalities within the county to make sure that they're properly investigated, that the ball isn't dropped, that we're following up with these kids. We're making sure that they have positive interventions, get them into a sport, mentor, counseling, whatever they need to get them back on track to make sure that they're moving in the right direction and that we don't continue with this pattern of behavior. And then we also have Zero Eyes in our schools now. Basically, that's technology where it's embedded, it's AI technology embedded in the camera system, and if there's a firearm on our campus, it will recognize that. It notifies us in real time, cuts out all the middlemen, a photograph of the actual camera location and what is going on is sent to the deputies and the guardians so that they can then go address that in real time. At the end of the last school year, we actually had a case where we had an alert, and it was a kid that had a toy gun, and nobody had noticed it, so it does really work. It cuts out all the middlemen. We were able to go find that kid and get that toy gun from him. It was a very toy gun. This wasn't like it looked like a gun. It was a very toy gun, but it works. So completely sold on that. And then we also have partnered with Gideon. They're an artificial intelligence company that is creating first of its kind artificial intelligence that scrapes. They collect all of the data from the World Wide Web, and then they look at that data and look for trends that are consistent with active shooters. So if the person's posting grievances online or behaving in a manner that would cause alarm or concern, and then that IP address comes back within Volusia County or our surrounding area, they will give that information to us so that we can conduct an investigation to try to get ahead of it. Because we all know the vast majority of active shooters or threats to our community have posted something online. So the ability to get that information and then investigate it before an incident happens gives us a leg up on that. So,
Very good. Speaking of AI, Carolyn, our communications director.
Good morning. I'm going to go here so that I can just showcase everything.
Carolyn doesn't get out of the communication center much, so to get her to come out here and get up in front of you, Madam Mayor, she's excited about it.
While she's getting seated, could you tell me when in your schedule University High's metal detectors are coming?
Yes.
That's where most of our students go.
Good morning, everybody. I was asked to come here today to showcase some of the great technology that we're using within the Communications Center. Before I get into the AI, I do want to circle back around to what Captain Israel touched on during his time. And he spoke to a case where units went out to a live 911 call. What that is it's really for the road patrol side of the house, but if people aren't familiar with what happens when somebody calls 911, when you call 911, you have a call taker that takes that phone call and they're putting it into a computer system while you have a dispatcher who's going to be dispatching a unit. In the case of live 911, what happens is when somebody calls 911, the officers can hear that 911 call in real time. So it kind of cuts out the time that it takes for the call taker to get the information and send it up to dispatchers. Units are already on the way. So I know that we've had some great cases already where units hear the call, these emergency calls, they're on their way, and the dispatchers will get the information, but the officers are already en route to the call, so it shaves off minutes, which are really precious during emergency calls. That kind of leads me to the next topic of using AI. We deployed AI for our non-emergency calls. What a lot of people are also not familiar with are the call takers that are answering your 911 calls are the same ones that answer non-emergency calls. Being the only 911 center in Volusia County, we get a lot of calls from people in different cities for things that aren't necessarily things that they should be calling a 911 center for. Water being shut off, their power and electric is shut off. Sometimes they want to reach a police officer from another agency. So AI allows us to handle these non-emergency calls and allows my call takers to focus on 911 calls. There is a national or a state standard that we have to meet. We typically exceed that standard, but with deploying the AI, we're almost 100%, which is unheard of really throughout the state. So with that, what you're seeing up on the screens is what a typical AI call would look like for us. Right here is real time in the center right now. They're getting in these calls. My supervisors can monitor these calls. We have people assigned in the communication center to look at these calls, vet these calls, and they will put in a call for an officer to respond if that's what's necessary. So this is right now, real time, what's going on. This is an example call that I can play for you very quickly. I won't play the whole thing because it is a little bit longer, but the basis of this call is that a gentleman had his identity stolen. He had his identity stolen for, I might have to refresh this, I'm sorry. I had the audio ready.
Now you know why, Ben, I wanted Carolyn to do this.
I won't play the whole thing because it is a little bit longer, but this is an example of originally this caller was calling to report that his identity was stolen to open a Verizon account. He originally didn't want to interact with the system, but the system has a nice, gentle way of kind of pushing them to interact with it. And so he ultimately interacted with it, and we were able to input a non-emergency call from the system. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know, maybe Captain Israel should be doing this. I don't know.
This is an emergency. Hang up and dial 911. Para español, presione 1.
My name is Ava. How can I help you today?
Representative.
Can you tell me what you would like to speak to someone about? I can help direct you to the right person or assist you myself.
File a police report for fraud.
Did this fraud occur in person or online?
Online,
When did this happen?
June 28th.
What is your preferred
So that's the AI voice talking to him, but at the very end, she has the ability to wrap it up. He goes through the whole line of questioning, his name, his information, how to call him back, what the situation was, and at the very end, it will wrap it up to the caller for them to confirm that everything is correct. They will get, any caller will get this bounce back message to kind of close the loop, let them know that a dispatcher has received the call and that somebody will review it. If they need to call them back, they can. So that's one of the calls. Another call is this person was calling in about a motor vehicle accident. The system recognizes that that's an emergency, that they should be transferred in. So they were immediately transferred in to a dispatcher and spoke in real time to a dispatcher. It's intuitive enough to pick up that this person had anxiety and fear in their voice. So those are some of the calls that we're handling with AI. And again, the state standard is that you answer 90% of your calls within 10 seconds or less. We usually were at 92, 93%. We are now seeing numbers at 98%. So it well exceeds the state standard. And then one other thing that we are using within the dispatch center, which was deployed in May, is these are real calls coming into the center as well. This is picking up on caller location, but what is nice for my dispatchers is over here, it's giving them real-time transcription of things that are happening and what the caller is saying to you, which also helps. Sometimes they might throw you off, they might say something you weren't expecting, and you can kind of look at the real-time transcription and really see that, yes, they did say that somebody has a gun or something like that. It has the ability to transcribe and pick up if on text to 911, it will transcribe in 120 different languages. We can type in English. Even if the person's phone is set to a different language, it will translate that to our caller in their language, and when they respond back, it translates it back into English. So that's just some of the things we're using in the comm center. So.
Carolyn, does AI work that way? If somebody calls and speaks in Spanish or somebody calls and speaks in Russian, will Ava be able to?
So it can. The problem that we have with that is in the beginning, it asks you, if you speak Spanish, please press 2. It can also translate 120 different languages. The problem is having a greeting that tells somebody is speaking a different language, that we have the ability to do that. So if they happen to say, Russian or something like that, the system will pick up on it and translate it back and forth.
Impressive.
Telecommunicator of the year.
I think telecommunicator of the year, yeah. Just like
Yes.
the bait trailer. Anything else you want to throw in there?
No? All right.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank
Ben, you did a great job. Your lips didn't even move.
Awesome.
Brian, real quick, you want to talk about the beach?
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Lieutenant Brian Cobb over the beach. So we had a busy summer. We just wrapped up a traditional school year summer over on the beach, which got a lot of our kids back in school, so we're not seeing the younger population over there. But we still have a good chunk of summer left where we're going to see very busy weekends. The county's progressed to LPRs at most of the approaches, so traffic's been flowing very well for people that come over and want to get on the beach. We're getting ready for Labor Day weekend, which will be a maximum capacity beach day. And most of our special events and our pop-up events, we put a lot of legwork into getting ahead of those, and we've seen great success with that. So outside of that, after Labor Day, we'll start progressing into the winter months where we get some of the Canadians down for their spring break, but that'll kind of wrap up turtle season and most of the heart of our summer, and then we'll be getting ready for next year for all the big events.
Carmen owns a bunch of horses, and he had been asking when will he be able to drive his horse on the beach or ride his horse on the beach.
Yeah, well, on the 19th, it's a high likelihood they're going to agree to that. So get them in the trailer and get them over there.
Don't get park your trailer.
We get complaints of dogs on the beach. We can only imagine what horses are going to do on the beach.
Oh, they'll stop in Vegas, so I got it.
Yeah, one who's got that job. John, we'll close with you. You want to talk about training, recruiting, retention?
Good morning. John Court, I'm the Assistant Training Commander. So currently we have 10 trainees right now that are going through our entry-level training between both Academy and NDT. We should see them hitting the road at the turn of the new year. Additionally, we got a lot of great in-service training going on. We just wrapped up another installment of our Detectives Academy, so that's about a 12-series class or course that goes over the course of 2 years. Additionally, we're constantly recruiting. We're getting ready for our next Academy class, which should start in early February of next year. Some of our recruiting efforts, we're going to a lot of the military bases in the southeastern United States. Myself and another deputy just got back from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which was a success. And I believe the last meeting we had here, I spoke briefly about some new training that was going to be happening agency-wide for the pursuit mobilization technique. And I'm happy to report that as of yesterday, we've trained 100% of the agency, and that policy should be rolling out in the immediate future. Yep.
Have anything?
Just a couple things, if you don't mind. Just one, Captain Israel and Lieutenant Tucker there are doing a phenomenal job, and we've been working diligently on a lot of these particular issues. So whatever you need from me and the council, we'll be glad to support you in any way possible, particularly on some of these enhanced areas of crime, and whatever we need to do to put the hammer down, we will. Number two, thank them for, we did some specialized enforcement on golf carts, extraordinary job on that, and we'll continue that particular effort. Three, we did a little strategic plan on how to enhance our LPR system here in DeBary. And in our budget next year, we do have phase one in there to continue to enhance our license plate reader system. And just a little public note on Fort Florida Road. We're going to be starting construction on a bridge over there on Fort Florida Road. Florida Power and Light has a 1,200-acre reservoir in DeBary. It's above ground. They have gates to manage the level of the water level. And those gates actually go through underneath our bridge out to the river, and that's how they manage the lake level in the reservoir. And so starting in November, we'll be taking that bridge out. Just to give you a little idea, their gates are capable of pumping 2,200 cubic feet per second of water. Underneath our bridge, it only holds 400. So we've been working with the FDEP, the state, and FP&L, and we're finally got into a contract where we're going to rebuild that bridge. And so chances are from October, November of this year, all the way till June, and non-hurricane season, we'll be reconstructing that bridge, and Fort Florida Road will be closed at that particular point. So just wanted to let everybody know that if you're heading that direction, you got to be aware of the bridge being closed.
And thank you for all the support.
But it interrupts my travel patterns, so it'll be as short a period within that window as we can manage.
I think the order has been given.
No, thank you for everything y'all do. We really appreciate it, and it's now instead of 80% chance if you're going to commit a crime in DeBary, now it's 88% chance if you come into DeBary, you're going to jail?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll use that number. Thank you.
But thank you for all the support. That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah.
The police here, when you have all this support.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nobody has anything else? Let's go to work. Thank you.